welcome to this edition of Making It Together. I'm your host, Josh Ellsworth with Stahls, and today we're going to be talking all about layering heat transfer vinyl. And so I know this is one of the most asked questions, and I've seen it in our survey feedback, is that people want to see how to layer product. What is the right technique? What temperature do I use? What time settings do I use? There's just a lot of questions that come about when you try to layer heat transfer vinyl together. And so it's been a while since I've done education specifically on layering. So I thought a good topic for our time together today would be all about layering heat transfer vinyl. So as always, it's great to see you all watching live. We're broadcasting on YouTube and our Facebook pages and groups. So if you have a moment, we'd love to see exactly who you are and where you're watching from. If you can shout that out while you guys are all joining in, I'm going to take just a moment and walk you through some news or some of the latest things we have going from both Stahls and Transfer Express. And so this one I'm really excited about. So if you visit transferexpress.com, right on the homepage, the first banner ad is about the stock transfer packs for fundraising. And then if you click on that page, it will land you to this product page. And what I really like about this, we released these designs in a blog post a little bit ago. I shared them with you a couple weeks back. And then as a company, we decided to step up with the program because we see a lot of you launching fundraiser stores for your community and printing shirts for your community. And so we wanted to come up with a way to provide you with an inexpensive stock design. That way you can keep your costs low, come up with something that's a cool design and be able to print that. And then you can, of course, tailor it to your particular community. So let me walk you through this. What we did is we've created this special discounted price. This transfer sheet is sold in packs of 25 or 50. And I'm going to show you the sheet right here. So the cool thing is you get 3 designs per sheet. You can use this to print 3 different shirts, or what I've seen customers doing is really using the world print, the Stay Strong print, to do the front of either adult or youth shirts. And then depending on whether an adult or youth putting this together, we can beat this placement on the back. So we offer it in 2 different sizes. So you can decide how you want to use the transfers on the sheet, but this is the stock sheet that comes to you. And then you can see some of the looks that you're able to create. It goes perfect on black t-shirts, navy t-shirts, pretty much any dark color is going to work nice with this neon green and white ink. And so each gang sheet comes with 3 designs. So print 3 shirts or a 2-sided shirt plus a youth shirt, white and neon green inks. We are shipping these same day if they're ordered by 3 o'clock Eastern time. So we are stocking them and then just reprinting them as we run out. And this uses our goof-proof transfer formula. So it's a quick heat application, takes about 4 to 6 seconds, and sticks to cotton poly. And the cool thing is we're selling the 25 pack for $35 and the 50 pack for $50. So that's sheets that you get. And any proceeds that we make from the sale all go to support John Hopkins Medicine and patient care, as well as research for COVID-19 as we're all battling this and staying strong together. So I wanted to point that out. It's right on transferexpress.com. I know we're sharing the different links out there on our pages. I love this program. I think that one, it helps, which is a big thing, and that's what we want to do first. But in addition to helping, it also helps you build connection in your community. So try to rally with other businesses and launch a fundraiser sale with this shirt. We'll be coming out with tools and templates and different things to help you sell this shirt online. And so more of that to come, but I wanted to at least introduce you to the concepts. You can take a look at that over at Transfer Express. So good to see everybody this morning. I have a lot of people watching live. Dimitri from Minneapolis. Good morning, Jerry. Marsha from South Carolina. Melissa from Ohio. Heather, good to see you from England. Sixto from Arizona. Cheryl, good to see you this morning. Mike, as always, from Canada. And Jim, got a friend in Canada today. Good to see you, Jim. Good to see you, Gosta from Sweden. And also Freddie from New Jersey and Craig from Washington, KF from South Carolina. Lots of people. You guys can read the comment where everybody is watching from. And I appreciate those chiming in that have run sales like this and sharing their experience. And so what I'm seeing here, Todd mentions give more than you take too. We have seen some great results with ours. Speaking of the transfer fundraising program, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but we just wanted to give you an inexpensive way to get the transfers and know that even though we are selling the transfers, because we can't just give them away for free, we want to make sure everybody is using them and actually has a little skin in the game to make sure that they are printing shirts for causes with these in a good way. But we have committed to donate all of the proceeds that we get over at Transfer Express to Johns Hopkins Medicine. I think it's a win-win-win, and you can help some small businesses in your community and rally support of your community. So wanted to point that out first. As I mentioned early, today's topic is all about layering heat transfer vinyl. And so there I started with a camera angle, and I'm sitting by my heat press because we'll be doing a lot of work on our Hotronix auto clam heat press today. And so in case this is your first time watching, I have this Hotronix auto open clam. It's a 16 by 20 inch machine. This is the machine that I've personally owned for over 4 years, still running strong. It's been in my garage, and I use it for my side hustle, which is printing shirts for my daughter's dance school and also for her small school. And moved it into my spare bedroom since we're work from home now to be able to teach y'all how to decorate with the actual heat press that I love and that I use. So it's on a caddy stand, so it's a floor stand here, and that gives me this cantilever design where I can split my garment and thread it on. And this machine also has the interchangeable bases, which makes it very easy as we work through different applications today to get accurate pressure, a nice flat, even surface. I can't help but follow some of the conversations that happen on Facebook, and when people are having challenges, a lot of times you will see the culprit being the heat press. And I know some of you are out there and you're like, yeah, I got a $500 heat press, it works great. I've been using it for 2 years and then I just replace it. Well, I'm happy you do, but there is a very low consistency rate on those heat presses. So it's hit or miss, and I don't think it's worth the gamble for your business, which is why we manufacture heat presses in the US. We never cut corners on the manufacturing. You're going to get even heat on this press, and you're going to get accurate application. So you want to start decorating for profit, whether that's in a side hustle or full-time business. I really think professional grade heat press is purchase number one for the business. Don't buy a vinyl cutter. Spend all your money that you can in a good professional grade heat press. And then as you grow the business, expand into a vinyl cutter. That would be my advice. So when we talk about layering here today, and we're going to learn through hands-on applications, I'm going to start off with a football jersey. This particular jersey is from Augusta Sportswear, which is a brand that we sell on transferexpress.com. And you can access jerseys from Transfer Express, or you can set up an account if you have a tax ID direct with Augusta. They sell as well wholesale. And we can split this garment and load it on. So this is that threadability. It's a mesh football jersey. And so splitting and threading is going to be a big deal. And so I'm just going to do that. I always like to pull my shirt to the shoulders. I retract it back, and there's a lot of seam structure with a football jersey. So I'm making sure that all of the seams are hanging below. It's going to be especially important when I go to print the back and I have this V-neck collar that would print through to the nameplate when I'm trying to put the player name on back. But I'm going to start with the front. And so I'm just going to retract this V-neck right over the edge of the press. I do have a couple little seams up here on the corner, but that's not really going to bother my application since I'm going to be down here on my print location. And then I'm going to start with a preheat. So I'm going to adjust my pressure, preheat it, just warming the lower base for application. And I'm going to teach you about a new product today for a lot of you, and that are a product called pre-cut numbers. And so I ran down to the office this morning to pick up some supplies for this class and found these pre-cut numbers. And I thought it would be a great training opportunity because they're two color. So we'll be able to show you a direct layering technique with numbers. And I'll also be able to teach those of you that want to enter into the realm of sports the most cost-effective way to make a team uniform. So these numbers come in packs from Stahls. You can just peel a number off to get it ready to press. There's no carrier, no liner on it, which makes it very cost-effective when you're setting up. And then you're just going to position it into place. It's loose, very easy to be moved on the garment. Make sure you figure out which side's your adhesive, which is the dull side, versus the glossier side, which is the face of the material. and I'm just going to position that into place. We do sell laser alignment tools, all types of things to make this easy. I really don't use a laser alignment tool for my personal work, but I know a lot of you rave about them and have benefited from them. But you're going to press this down, and what I recommend doing is just tack this bottom layer down for just a couple seconds to get it to hold into place. And then that will give me a nice base to be able to position my foreground number. And so the product that I'm using today, if I haven't said it already, is Thermo-FILM. The really nice thing about Thermo-FILM is it's a little bit thicker, a little bit more tougher material for sports. So don't use your thin t-shirt material for decorating football jerseys or products for contact sports, because it's really going to suffer from the abrasion, perhaps tear and rip. And so after I press the background, it's very easy to line the foreground up. So I'm just going to position that, and it's automatically created when I order my foreground and background. This is an 8-inch number with the proper offset gap space, which is going to be about 1/4 of an inch here. Then I'm going to cover it, and then I can press both layers for the full application. In this case, it's 330 degrees for 6 to 8 seconds. I'm at 300 degrees today just because I'm doing a variety of applications, and you don't want to wait on my heat press. But if you were doing this full-blown production, you definitely want to follow the instructions that are available on Stahls.com. Again, this is automatic open, which I love that, so I can multitask. Always use a cover sheet when you're pressing vinyl, when the vinyl is exposed directly to the heater, and I've completed the front of my design. I'll give you a look at that in a second, but I want to show you a cool technique on these threadable presses, and that's the fact that I can pull it back just past the sleeves, and then I can spin the jersey while it's on the press and never have to load it. So when you talk about efficiency, that really helps you out a lot. And now I'm to the back print location with the back collar hanging off the edge of the press and the V-neck hanging completely below. So I don't need any pillows. It's not going to print through to the other side of the garment. Now, of course, you'll have to be able to preheat this side. I'm going to line up my loose numbers. These numbers are great. They only cost about, depending on the size, I'd say around 40 cents a digit, and which is going to save you a lot of money. If you were to cut this number, especially if it's a double digit yourself, all of the space that you waste in between the numbers and the name is really going to drive up your cost for decorating your team uniform. So I love the loose numbers for this reason. You just need to make sure that you position them into place. Just tack the background layer, 2 seconds. Gets it to hold. And then I'm going to lay in my foreground. And on this one, I'm also going to do a name. So the number position, and then I want to show you a name. And you guys should be familiar with this process. Actually, I should have just pressed the background of the name when I did the background of the number, but I'm going to do the inverse. So the background is going to be in white, and the foreground is going to be in the athletic gold from Thermo-FILM. So again, this is cut on a vinyl cutter, weeded, and then I'm just going to position the name board down. Make sure I have everything lined up straight. It's really easy to position names on jersey because you have a nice horizontal line, especially on a football jersey, because of the pattern of the jersey and how it's sewn together. Because I'm doing the name now, I'm just going to press for another few seconds. And I've applied the number. It'll be fine there when I reheat. I'm going to hot peel the Thermo-FILM backing, and we call this a direct layer application. That means a full background layer and a full foreground layer are going down onto the garment. So when we talk about layering, this is the most traditional way to layer. One benefit of using a heat transfer vinyl that only applies for a couple seconds to get it to temporarily stay is it doesn't shrink, and it makes it really easy to line up your foreground layer. When you're doing full layering, like I'm doing here, the other big benefit is that if you're off slightly, you have enough kind of give in that outline that you're not going to see any garment showing through, or you're not going to see any major difference in the application. And so typically when you're layering materials, If the material is a hot peel, normally it can hot peel off of the foreground as well. And just like that, we've completed our finished jersey. So name, number, completely heat applied on the front and on the back. And oftentimes for football, you'll see a small little 1-inch single color team name be above the front number. But it's very easy to do that direct layer application. I'll give you a close-up look. So just heat apply it on there. You can cut it on the vinyl cutter. Again, the numbers cost about 40 cents each. So for a single digit 2-color number, I'm looking at about $1.60 for my front and back numbering. And the names, you still should cut on your vinyl cutter if you have one. That'll be the most cost-effective way. And then a name, depending on the material you use, will be anywhere between 25 and 50 cents. So all in, I have my cost of materials to complete this for my 2-layer name. I'd be looking at somewhere around $2 to $3, depending on the size of the numbers and all the factor. That's for complete double digit. Now, of course, you can always do the shoulders as well. On a football jersey, we call that TV numbers. If they're on top of the shoulder, that's because the TV camera can see them from the angle. Or you can do your more traditional sleeve numbers, and we usually see those being a 3 and 4-inch number. I love the 7-inch round platen for doing these TV numbers and these sleeve numbers. It's very easy to be able to load that jersey and get to that print location when you're using that 7-inch round platen. So a couple questions that are coming up as we're kind of going through this. The font of the number, I'm going to have to defer to somebody that's helping us online to see if they can identify that and share that with you. I don't know that off the top because I just grabbed these samples from the office and they were already cut. The question from Cypress Graphics over on YouTube is, do you give laundering instructions to warn against vinyl peel in the dryer? And so what we find is that if the vinyl is compatible, it's not more likely to even peel on 2-color versus single color direct to fabric if it's applied properly according to the recommendation. So I wouldn't adjust your wash dry settings at all that you're delivering. Stahls materials are all lab certified for layering. If we recommend it, we guarantee it to last that 50 wash and dry cycles to outlast the garment. A good basic practice is not to dry it on high heat, machine wash cold. Those are going to make your garment overall just last a lot longer. So just follow your standard care instructions. All right, so font is Apex, thanks to our team over at Stahls for tracking that down. And then another question from Adrian over on Facebook: what is the difference in size for background and foreground layering? And that's a great question, and I want to show you a little bit about that on the art software really quick. So this is the direct layering technique. Let me show you how the proper way to set up artwork for direct layering. I'm going to move over here to my second monitor, and I'm going to be inside of CADWorks. I'm actually going to open up a new file here, and I'm just going to drop some text onto the screen for an example. So let's drop that number 3 there, and I'll just pick a athletic font that we can use and open that up, and we'll go ahead and make that an 8-inch number. Okay. So once you have your number created, whether that's in CorelDRAW, Adobe Illustrator, whatever software you use, your number or your text, if you're doing a name or a design, that's going to be your foreground. Whatever size you want that to be, that's going to be your foreground. You really don't want to. I've seen some people when they first get started with this, they'll actually make another copy of the number 3 and they'll try to size it down and get it to fit inside. That's never going to work well for you. Really, the command you're looking for in your software is to do something called an offset or a contour. And so in CADWorks, we make it easy because you can just click your text or your item. You can click on Add Effect. And all I'm going to do is go to this contour menu. And I'm going to select that I want a small contour or a large contour. That's just my default. I can change it. I don't want an inside contour because that's going to warp my font and make it look kind of nasty, especially when you get to smaller text. It's not going to look good. So always bring your outline or your contour to the outside. So I'll pick the small contour, see what that looks like, and it will add that background in a gray color for me here. It just takes a second. And I'll change the gray color so we can better see it. Let me pick something from our color palette. Just pick a green, we'll be able to see that easy. And then this offset, which is right in the top of the screen, once it finishes rendering, is what we're going to be working with. So what I found is for like an 8-inch number, you typically want a larger offset than you would on some smaller text. So the most common one that I use is 0.25, which is a 1/4 inch. Occasionally, I will use on smaller text 0.125, which is an 1/8 inch. I really believe between that 1/4 inch or that 1/8 inch offset, you should be able to handle all of your large and small numbers. So the offset we just did was a 1/4 inch on the sample, and you see how it traces it nicely clear around your design. And so the cool thing here is when you look at what the vinyl cutter sees, let's say you're cutting this yourself, you'll see the wireframe view, and it has two completely different sets of cut lines, and they are completely proportional to one another. So if I were to break these items apart by colors, which is what I want to do to show you, you'll see that what I've created is a full foreground layer and also a full background layer. I'll slide those apart in a second. I am working with our CADWorks Live free design software, which is just available at cadworkslive.com. If you want to set up for a free account, it's a great place where you can create vector artwork. All right, so again, I have multiple live streams happening in the house with my daughter going to school while I'm broadcasting live, so it's pulling on my internet just a little bit. So CADWorks runs a bit slower if you don't have a stronger internet connection. It is web-based, so it does require an internet connection to be able to utilize. But the benefit of that is once you save your designs, they save in the cloud under your login, and you can open them from wherever. So we got limited time, so I'm not going to wait on it. I'll come back for it to finish rendering. But that is our direct layer technique and a bit of how to set up artwork for direct layering. So benefits of direct layering. It's the easiest. Full background layer, full foreground layer, very easy to line up, very easy to do if you're just starting. Those are the basics. Start with direct layering. Now, the trade-off for direct layering is that we do have full layer on layer in vinyl to start to get a little bit of weight on the garment. And so if you're doing lighter weight garments, like if instead of a heavy duty football jersey, if that was a lightweight basketball jersey, that may weigh it down, especially with a product like Thermo-FILM just a little bit. Or if I'm doing it on a thin performance shirt or a lightweight tri-blend t-shirt, you're going to start to develop a little bit of weight, especially if you have a larger design that's full layer on layer. Because most heat transfer vinyls, even at their thinnest, are around 100 microns thick. And 100 microns thick, when you double that thickness, you really start to get some weight on the garment. And so you want to watch out for that. So again, that's layer on layer, and I'll just slide these apart so I can finish that. You can see that's how it's set up to cut. I'm going to cut a complete set of black numbers and a complete set of green numbers, loading separate rolls of vinyl into my vinyl cutter to achieve that effect. All right, so let's see. Some questions coming in. This one's funny. Jim says, give your daughter the hour off. Yeah, so she has scheduled classes, and of course they have to fall right in these 2-hour windows when they're doing their live Zoom classes with their school. Otherwise I would, Jim. And then let's see, the free CADWorks site was, again, cadworkslive.com. It's on the comment on the screen on the right-hand side. That's where you can set up. And I think that's good for questions with where we're at now. So the next technique, the next logical technique is whenever you want the layered look, but you really don't want 2 layers of vinyl together. And for that, we have a technique that we call the trapping technique. So a couple reasons you would want to use this trapping technique. One is if you're doing something lightweight, and this is going to be tough to see until I get it on the garment. You can see this layer in white that we see here. Instead of being a full background like we had on the other design, we have sort of the inside removed. So it does a couple things. One is it gives me the ability to fit this in perfectly like a puzzle over top of it. So this is a pattern vinyl that we're going to show you a little mixed media design put on top of it, and it needs to fit in perfectly. So the benefit of that is it gives me a lighter weight feel. However, the trade-off is it's a little bit more technical in two ways. One is it increases your weeding time pretty substantially because I need to weed out not just the outside here, but all of the centers here. If designed right, like on the script text, they can pretty much come in one piece other than the dotted, the I, and the apostrophe. But on some designs, that adds extra picks for every letter of text. So the weeding time increases, and then also it's a little bit more challenging for lining up on the press, and I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to press this mixed media design on this Kavio garment. That's Kavio. It's size 4T. I think we're at it's 50 or 60% cotton, 40% poly. It's a lightweight, super soft long sleeve T-shirt. And so when I go to print this, a couple things. One is if you just throw it on your press like this, your seams are going to take some contact. Again, this was 60% cotton, 40 poly. So that 40 poly poses a risk that those seams may scorch up since it's a synthetic fabric. So if you ever see scorching or imperfections on the seams, it could be for that reason. Now, the other thing you want to watch out for is if you have a lot of seam structure up here, you could get a dropout in pressure on your print. And so it's always best when you're doing something like this to raise your print surface up and get rid of these seams. That's going to give you a more accurate application. And there's several ways you can do this. I prefer, if you can, to do it with an interchangeable platen. That's going to be the most accurate and most efficient. And so in this case, on this garment, I think I might be able to squeeze it over my 11 by 15 inch attachment. So I'm going to load that. Lock it into place, and then let's try it. I'm going to split it and thread it on. Yeah, it's perfect. So fits perfectly on. My seam structure is falling off the edge, even for my sleeves. Just retract it back, and I have a nice flat pressing area. Now let's get my pressure adjusted. This has an over-center pressure adjustment, so even pressure from the center out. Your heat press has the pressure adjustment in the back, and it's a clamshell. There's a chance that could be causing issues with uneven pressure, so you have to watch that. This particular press has a pressure readout that's telling me I'm at a 5 pressure right on the control board, which gives me the accuracy that I need. So we need to heat apply my background color down first. So this says America Vibes. I have the text we're going to trap. I have another outline design that's kind of in like a navy blue color. Not going to be able to put that on just quite yet, but I held it over so I knew placement on the garment. I always kind of do that and just say, hey, where's this going to sit on the garment? And I can see already that I need to bring this design up a little bit. And this background material is Fashion Film, just another brand of heat transfer vinyl that we have. Again, I want to, if I can, just press the background for a couple seconds and then peel. Now, here's the other rule. If I'm using, let's say, a film that applies at, I'm going to make numbers up, 300 degrees, combined with a product that applies at 330 degrees, it's very important that the adhesive on the product that requires 330 degrees gets its full application at some point in the process. So I'm going to go ahead and run everything then at 330 degrees so I don't have an issue with durability on any part of my design. The material that takes a lower temp typically can take 20, 30 extra degrees if needed in a mixed media application. So always err on the higher side of whatever your highest temp material. But be careful, don't use something that applies at like 375 with something that applies 280. You're probably going to damage the adhesive of the 280 degree product. Try to get something at least in a 30 degree window of each other when you're doing mixed media. All right, so I'm going to press this down for just a couple seconds. I'm going to peel the backing. Fashion Film is one of those that's a hot peel after you press it, which is really nice, especially on that fast tack application. And then I'm going to grab my pattern product and try to layer it in. So again, this is done using what's called It's not even trapping on this one. It's called I call it butt register, which means it fits perfectly inside of that. There is zero room for error. So any of the slightest bit of shrinking of either the garment or the vinyl or stretching of the garment, especially when you're doing stretchy fabrics, is going to cause issues in this application. And issues being, I'm going to see that shirt color peeking through my print a little bit. And so it's very easy. I'd spend all day here trying to get this lined up perfectly. It would take me forever to do a job. So, but I wanted to show you this because I think this is probably the most challenging way to layer, and I wouldn't recommend doing it. I'm going to show you how to fix it here in a second. So again, pattern material, I'm going to just tack my background for a few seconds, peel off the carrier, and then since this is a 3-color, I'll take my final design, even though it's not directly layered. I'm going to position that into place and finish with a full application. Because there's some vinyl exposed to the heater, I'm going to cover it now and give it all the full application together that is required. So in this case, if the patterns takes 330 for 15 seconds, I'll make sure we hit that full application and then peel the final backing color, and I'll have a completed result. So not sure if this will come through, but I'm going to try to show you. There are some imperfections in this, and I did the best I could. Probably could have done a little better, but if you look closely, you can see the garment peeking through right here around the print. When you're in person with this, you can definitely see it. So that direct layering technique would have been a little easier for this, even though it would have added some weight. This, what I call butt register technique, is nice because it gets you down to a single layer of vinyl, but it's difficult. And so let me head over to my software and show you how to correct this through something that we call trapping. So let's just say we are still working with this number 3. It doesn't really matter the design. I'm just going to make a duplicate here of the foreground number. So in the technique for butt registering, what you would do is you would take your 2 layers or your objects. You would, first I need to align them just to make sure they're perfectly centered together. And then what I would do is I would go up to my shaping tool and I would do back minus front to basically punch a hole through that. Okay, so now when I move it away, remember I used to have a solid green piece, now I have just the outline of the piece. But again, even on the camera, on the screen, it's tough to get them to line perfectly up. You're always seeing a little bit of white show through. I'll zoom in to show you. You know, it's very, very difficult. So you get the point. That's butt registering. And so when we talk about trapping for layering, it's really helpful. And what trapping allows you to do is basically, I have this, I would do the same steps to get it set up like this, but I just really need to make this foreground layer slightly bigger all the way around. And so in order to do that, I follow the steps that have been completed. I do my original contour. I do the back minus front to punch it through. But then I'm basically going to take this original foreground artwork again. I'm going to double click on it, and I'm going to add another contour to it. And this time, I'm going to do a really small contour. I'll open it up, and I can't give you an exact size on this. It's going to depend on, you know, how big your overall artwork is. But often it's as much as, you know, just, you know, a fraction of an inch. So like whether that's a 1/16 of an inch or below usually works for this. So I'm going to do just below a 1/16 of an inch, 0.05. I'm going to click OK. It'll take a second for it to render. And now you can see that with that gray outline around the black, that's going to be my tolerance, basically, when I'm layering. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to break this apart again by colors. And I'm just going to get rid of that original black foreground number. Okay, now, recolor this to black. Now I have a design, when I bring it to the front here and hold it over, that it'll give me a lot more of a tolerance. You see how you're not seeing any white poke through, and I very easily line that up. So there's a little bit of a tolerance there. So what that means is basically that foreground layer is going to just slightly overlap the background that's been knocked out. So that's the best of both worlds. You get a single layer feel with very little overlap. You get application of material to garment across, and you just get this slight overlap to give yourself a little bit of production flexibility when you're lining things. And so there are some materials that won't layer on top of each other. So in my experience, typically those are anything that has a bling effect, like metallics and glitter. Typically can't be used as a background layer, especially if it's more of the textured premium glitter like the Stahls glitter. And so we use the trapping effect when it comes to glitter on glitter design. So it's tough to see, but this is actually a white glitter. And we've created this design with the trapping effect so it can be combined with the gold glitter. So let's head over to our heat press and show you the application of this and how much easier that is when it solves. All right, so just for speed, I would normally run this jersey. It's a fan jersey on a 16 by 20, but I'm just going to use my 11 by 15 since I have it loaded. And I'm just going to load it on. And the reason I would use a 16 by 20 is if I can use a larger platen when I'm pressing, I always like that. So for those of you that may only own a small heat press, the larger platen really helps you with being able to see more of the garment to lay out your design as well. So preheat. And then I'm going to take my white layer first. And if you're using a glitter product from Stahls, our glitter is really consistent, not only with cutting and weeding accuracy, a lot of glitters aren't, but with heat application. You're not going to get the glitter flaking off on your hands, and you're also going to be able to press your background layers in multimedia applications for just a couple seconds, because we have our proprietary carrier that is a hot peel when you press the glitter. So you can peel it hot or cold, but you're just going to press it for a couple seconds, peel the background, and it's really quick, really easy. And this glitter can press down at 290 degrees, which means you can use it on heat-sensitive fabrics as well. If it's on 100% polyester or anything with high poly, it can go to the 290. So I've pressed this background layer, and now I'm just going to take my foreground layer, and again, the trapping technique was used. And so when I layer that on, it's going to give me a little flexibility for placement. Because I've only tacked it for the couple seconds, I'll have some give as far as placement, 1/16 of an inch all the way around. And then nothing's exposed to the heater, so I don't need a cover sheet. I'm just going to press it for the full application, make sure I get my 10 seconds for my glitter product for my foreground design, and then I'm going to peel the foreground hot as well. So yeah, Denise, you can do the same tip for glitter, making the design a little bit bigger, just doing that effect. And even though glitter won't directly layer, you only have just a 1/16 of an inch or less layered, you're going to get a great looking result. So the light kind of blinds the camera with the glitter, but you're not seeing any garment peeking through at all because of that trapping effect. And again, the big benefit here is we're getting the product down to nearly a single layer, so it's maintaining a lighter weight, and we're getting that mixed media glitter design. I haven't seen anything better bling-wise than combining glitter with glitter, especially if you even venture outside of the white and start to combine like red with silver or red with blue, like school colors combined in mixed media applications with glitter. It's just like, wow. You can't even achieve it with sublimated glitter or digitally printed glitter, although that's a viable way to do multicolor. You get a brighter glitter effect with the straight glitter flake heat transfer vinyl. So it looks really sharp. All right. Going to take a look back for questions before I run out of breath from talking so much here. I know we're sharing links to the glitter vinyl, all the different products. This jersey was a Sport Tech jersey. The fan jersey was a Sport Tech jersey from, you can get this over at transferexpress.com, or you can get it from Sanmar, or you can get it from Stahls.com as well, the blank apparel from that range. So yes. Timothy asked the question, is that similar to a knockout? And I'd say, yeah, it is similar to a knockout design. The difference is the knockout, of course, conforms to the text. But if I were doing a knockout design, I would do that slight offset or that trapping technique, as I call it, for layering, make it easier for alignment. If you try to do that butt registration, you're going to have challenges. Spend that extra minute or two in the art setup, and it's going to make your life so much easier when you're actually applying those down to the garment. All right, I see we're sharing all kinds of stuff. Timothy asked about the common measurement that we use on a trap. So I said 16th inch or less, probably like a 32nd of an inch if you're doing something that's like really small, like my left chest logo. But if you're doing something like we just did, that's more of an 8x8 or larger, then I would go with the 16th of an inch, should be fine. All right, so I think we're caught up to speed as best that I can see. I see one more question that just came in from Chief Chris. What's the best HTV to use for the bottom layer? Depends on the garment you're applying to, but I love Premium Plus. Feels really soft on a garment, but when I'm layering, I would definitely go with the High Tack Premium Plus. It's more of a hot peel. It's going to give you more flexibility with only tacking it for a few seconds. But you really can't beat Fashion Film, Thermo-FILM, Glitter Flake, like the true hot peel materials, as long as you're using the right trapping technique. Those are really convenient and easy to use. I love layering with Fashion Film because it also has the crystal clear carrier I can see through for alignment of my foreground, and it's really thin. All right. Last layering technique I want to teach before I want to show you something else that's not really layering related, but like an upgrade to digital printing. And that is something that we're going to call a gap outline. And so you're not layering at all, but you are mixing media. So let me get back to just my original number 3 here. This is probably one of the most basic ways to get a multicolor look and not really have to worry about material compatibility, like what material sticks to what material. And it's called a gap outline. And so basically I'm going to double click my text again. I'm going to click to add an effect on it. And again, when I'm dealing with layering, all of my effects are into the contour menu. And so inside of that contour menu is this thing called a gap outline up in the top right-hand corner. I'm going to select that. And you can see basically what it does is rather than create a layered background that's touching the foreground, it creates almost a 3-color look because there is some garment space in between the foreground and the background design. So it'll render here in a second. I'm just going to click OK to skip forward in the steps so we can see it really big on the screen. And you'll see something like this, where we have our outline, right? And then we have our foreground. And again, we're working with the pattern vinyl here, but when you put them together, it'll be more straight. When I put it on the heat press, you can see that there is space in between them, just like you're seeing on the screen now. And so that gap outline is a really useful method because it's simple. I don't have to worry about combining anything. It actually gives me a lighter weight garment overall because it creates space in between your foreground and your background. So if that works with your aesthetic that you're looking for in the art, I would say use gap outline more often than not. When I happened to go down to Stahls TV this morning and look at designs and some of the stuff that Jenna had designed and ordered, she uses gap outline a lot. I had plenty of examples to choose from. Like here's one where she used a gap outline where we have this design, and then just to bring in a second color, try laying it out on my lap. It's a little easier, and then I'll hold it up and bring in this color over top. So you can see that there's space in between the layers. It still gives you flexibility for placing it. It also creates a little bit of room for the garment to move and breathe. So you get a good overall finished result. So let's show you how to apply the gap outline. It's going to be the same technique. So if you're caught up to speed so far, it's not too much different, but I did pick a different garment. This particular one is from Gay America. It's a hoodie with kind of a nice button structure here across the front, but also creates some challenges when applying and getting to the left chest location. And so let me use a pillow on this one to show you all without platens how to do it. So layering with a pillow is just slightly more challenging because, again, a pillow doesn't allow a firm pressure or medium pressure. And anytime I'm pressing that background layer for just a couple seconds, you have super light pressure, it may not stick. So just be careful when you're layering on your background layers with pillows. It will work, but those couple seconds may be a little bit shaky. You may just need an extra second. If you get to a platen, that's great. But I want to show you layering with a pillow just to show you something different. I'm going to split and load it on again, and then I'm going to use the time to slide my pillow here to isolate my print area. It gets the seam to sink down into the pillow, and the buttons are falling off the edge here of the attachment or just laying below the pillow. And then let's go ahead and adjust my pressure because I've loaded in some extra thickness with the pillow. Acted as a preheat. I'm going to take my background, which is my gap outline layer, position it into place. When you're pressing left chest, you want to pinch that corner, top corner shoulder. Run a vertical line down if you can. And then apply. So a couple seconds. I'm going to run a little more, 4 seconds instead of the 2 because I'm using the pillow. Then I'm going to peel the backing. Again, I'm having to do it a little bit more delicate here so it doesn't lift up because I'm not getting as firm of a pressure on that initial application. And when I say firm pressure, don't mistake me and think that you need to lay on top of the press and kill the garment, okay? You just need accurate pressure. In this case, medium pressure is correct for fashion film, which is my background. And then I'm just going to lay in the design, the pattern design on top. And then I should have no problems peeling after I apply for the full application setting. So you can buy the pillows from Stahls, the heat press, the platens, all the materials. We're doing this live education to try to help you in your business, but also in the process, of course, to connect you to our products and the right tools for the job. We pride ourselves on quality across the board. So we're looking to service heat printing businesses that want to make a profit and really want to grow their customer base and even go from part-time to full-time if you're not already. So that's our completed result. You can see the gap outline in there. We get a really nice feel and effect. And we're using our pattern vinyl on top of fashion film or premium plus. You could use any product for that gap outline, and it would just work just fine. So the other, I'm seeing some comments around pads. So that would be another viable option, would be to use what's called a print perfect pad, which is this. It's like the rubbery material, like what's on the bottom of your heat press when you peel back this cover, this gray pad. We sell those as well from Stahls. We also sell this from Transfer Express. And if you are pressing anything that requires a firm pressure, like a screen printed transfer, we do recommend that you use the print perfect pad and not the pillow. So pads are available. It's another option, probably a little bit more dependable for raising those print surfaces, but you aren't going to get the seams or anything to sink down in like you do with the pillow. So sometimes you need to combine the right platen with the pad to be able to get rid of any seam structure or anything of that nature. All right, so appreciate the comments and the questions that are coming in. We link to a lot of those products here in our different feeds. So whether you're watching on Facebook, we're sharing the links there, or whether you're watching on YouTube, we have all of it linked in the comment threads. So moving on, I want to talk, I've noticed a lot of comments and questions in the survey, people wanting to know about print cut. And if you haven't seen the survey yet, we ask that you fill out our Making It Together survey. We'll share the link in all of these places that you're watching right now. And we ask you for content ideas. So this layering content came directly from some recent feedback that was left in the survey. We're trying to incorporate all these different ideas. So one other trend we've noticed in the surveys is people want to learn more about print cut and digital printing. I don't have a printer cutter at home, but I'm going to try to talk to you a little bit more about print cut in upcoming Making It Together sessions. And it's particularly interesting for this session about layering, because layering is really creating multi-colors of vinyl. And print cut machines create multicolors of vinyl better than layering vinyl, especially if you just need basic colors. And so what I mean here is, I grabbed this sample out of the office. This is white and navy. So this could very easily be accomplished with 2 rolls of vinyl, a navy roll of vinyl and a white roll of vinyl. But this particular case, we've printed it all on 1 layer. This is our SuperTech Sublastop, which is our die blocking print cut material. But there are heat transfer vinyls that you can print on a printer cutter like a Roland Versacam or any brand for that matter, whether it's a Mamaki or an Epson solvent or eco-solvent printer. Even have some customers using HP latex printers on our materials. So if you're in the sign industry and you own a large format printer, you can buy heat transfer materials and diversify your business into print cut. If you're not in that space yet, Stahls sells the 30-inch printer cutters that you can invest in for your business to do this, plus signage. And so the benefit here is, of course, we're getting 1 layer of vinyl, as many colors as we want because we're just printing it. We also don't have to stock different rolls of vinyl to achieve this effect, and we don't have to weed more than once. We're going to weed this once, and then we're going to apply this sticky mask on it to lift the design to be able to create our transfer. So this was 1 sample I brought, and so that makes it simple. I just press it and peel it. Any of these designs I've created, we could run those designs through a printer cutter to be able to print exactly what we need. This is another good example. This would be really complex to try to create out of heat transfer vinyl and layer all of those different colors, right? I think that's 4 colors with the black, the gray, the red, and then the dark gray. Now, you could do this. I have a lot of people that do 3 and 4 color heat transfer vinyl, but really, if you start to get into that work, that logo work, those color gradients, full color work, much easier to do it all on a single layer. Again, this is our Sublastop material, and I just wanted to show you quickly how to apply that to some polyester performance wear. And so for this one, I'm going to rotate this platen to be able to get to my print location on my hoodie. And for those of you that are like, oh, I'm not ready to invest in a printer cutter in my business, no big deal. At both Stahls and Transfer Express, we carry digital transfer options that are produced off a printer cutter. They're called CAD prints. And so you can order these prints pre-done. If you have an order for 24 hoodies, order 24 of these, and all you have to do is position and press. And not only do we do the CAD prints, but we have new digital screen printed transfer methods that could accomplish the same thing for you, which is called stretched lithomat. So a lot of products to learn. We've done some of these making it togethers where we try to make the product a little easier to learn for what to use when. Educational sessions. And so look back through a lot of these trainings. They're all on YouTube in a playlist. And I think that was, gosh, somewhere probably between day 1 and 10. It seems like it's been forever. Day 2 and 10, I know it wasn't the first day where we did that particular session. So again, all pre-spaced, position it down. The Sublastop is a 2-step application because we really want to limit the amount of heat on it because it's designed for performance wear. So I'm going to press it for 5 seconds just to get the carrier off. It's a warm peel. So I'm just going to peel it corner to corner. And then I'm going to cover it with a cover sheet. Craft paper tends to leave more of a matte finish. The non-stick cover sheet, which is made from Teflon material, leaves more of a finish. Press it for 5 more seconds. And I have a completed result. So you can see the speed and the efficiency at which you're able to do this is much better. And we do have glitter materials for print cutters. Again, you're not going to get the same level of bling that we got with our heat transfer vinyl glitter. But if you just want the effect of multicolor glitter, they're basic materials, glitter materials. We're working on metallic materials. So you see a lot of the same material finishes available for that workflow. So we see a lot of customers moving to that. And if you've ever listened to our Heat Press for Profit podcast, it's available anywhere you subscribe to podcasts. You'll hear from Nancy Julian was one of my last podcasts that were published. She invested in a printer cutter, and it's really been a great tool for her business. So right now, she's not only doing designs for heat transfer out of it, but she's doing yard signs for seniors around her community, which is something that's popping up right now for graduating classes that can't go to school and graduate to at least provide some recognition. So we're going to talk a little bit more about those opportunities on Thursday. in our Making It Together session. So I know there were some questions coming in here. We've shared a lot of links and a lot of information today. I want to thank you all for attending this session live. And just a reminder, Jenna's sessions have changed to 3 o'clock on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays live on our Facebook pages. And if you're interested in a full slate of education, we have tons of webinars, tons of these events going on. And you can find that over at our events page on Stahls.com. That will include all of the educational sessions from both Stahls and Transfer Express. I know I have something I'm really excited about coming up this Thursday, which is the Creators Boardroom Digital Conference put on by OmniPrint. And so if you haven't signed up for that one's linked over on our events page too. I'll be doing a heat printing session on that, and there's a ton of other educators that I'm interested to learn from. It should be a really nice afternoon, and it's on Pacific time, so I'll be broadcasting late night on Thursday night to you. I think it's 9:30 Eastern is my session. So thanks all for joining. Hopefully you guys are making it. You're hunkered down, you're staying healthy, and you're trying new things. Appreciate you as always for watching, and we'll see you all real soon.